Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on applied thermodynamics. We are continuing our topic of centrifugal compression. So first of all, we will do a quick revision of our previous topics and then we will move forward to our new topics. So we began with the major components of centrifugal compressor, and total there are 6 components. First is inlet casing with converging nozzle. Here we accelerate the flow towards the entry of the compressor. Second is inlet guide vanes. This inlet guide vanes directs the flow into the desired direction so that it can smoothly enter into the impeller. Third one is inducer section. Inducer section converts the axial entry of the fluid into a radial motion. Fourth one is the impeller, in which we have rotating vanes, and in this impeller the kinetic energy is transferred to the fluid in form of kinetic and pressure energy. Then we have diffuser, in which the kinetic energy of the fuel is converted into pressure energy. And sixth one is outlet casing, which is the volute. As you can see over here, this is the diverging section, that is the volute, in which there is a further conversion of kinetic energy into pressure energy. So this is also another view of centrifugal compressor stage. Here you can see all the important components. That is, the first one is inlet casing with nozzle, then inlet guide vanes, then we have impeller eye, impeller, diffuser ring, and volute casing. Diffuser can be a vaneless or with vanes. Then we discussed about the static and total temperature. The static temperature is defined as the actual temperature of fluid measured by a thermometer which is moving with the same velocity as the fluid. And to understand the meaning of total temperature, we bring the fluid to rest isentropically so that there will be a conversion of kinetic energy into heat energy. So if we see the equation, then kinetic energy plus initial heat energy is equal to final heat energy, and for unit mass we have written this equation, and finally we are getting that T0 is equal to T plus V square upon 2Cp. And we have discussed about the velocity diagram of centrifugal compressor in two cases. Here in first case, the flow angle at inlet is 90 degree and the blade angle at exit is 90 degree. And in this case we are having the inlet flow angle 90 degree and exit blade angle is less than 90 degree. Then we discussed about degree of reaction. Here the degree of reaction is defined as ratio of static enthalpy rise in impeller to total enthalpy rise in a stage. So why this definition is important? See, the pressure rise happens both in impeller as well as the stationary parts, that is diffuser and volute. So degree of reaction gives us an idea that how much pressure rise is obtained in the impeller with respect to the total pressure rise. So we define R as ratio of total enthalpy rise in impeller to total enthalpy rise in a stage, and we obtain degree of reaction formula is R is equal to 1 minus V2 square divided by 2 H02 minus H01. You can further derive formula of degree of reaction with the help of velocity triangles also. You can do it as a part of self-study. Now let us discuss about losses in centrifugal compressor. So the next topic, we are first taking losses in centrifugal compressor and then we will discuss about surging and choking. So let us first make a list of the losses. First and major is frictional losses. Second is incidence losses. Then we have third one is clearance and leakage losses. And fourth one is inlet losses. So we are going to discuss them one by one. So let us first begin with the frictional losses. This is the major loss occurring in the centrifugal compressor, and these are nothing but the fluid friction losses, that is the fluid which is passing through the impeller vanes as well as the diffuser vanes, and during the volute part there is a friction between fluid and structure. Structure means here impeller vanes and diffuser vanes and volute casings. So what happens that whenever the fluid interacts with this solid components, there will be obviously the losses. So here this frictional losses depends upon friction factor F passage length and square of fluid velocity. So here it can be clearly seen that if it depends on the passage length, means the higher the length of the blade and higher the size of diffuser and volute casing, the higher will be the frictional losses. Similarly, a higher impeller speeds will also increase the frictional losses, because the frictional losses are proportional to the square of fluid velocity. So that is the case. Now let's move forward to the next case, that is incidence losses. We do have a figure for this. So here, if the compressor is not running at design conditions, then the flow approaches the blade at the inlet of impeller and diffuser with some degree of incidence. So what happens that whenever the centrifugal compressor is designed, and more specifically when the impeller blades are designed, they are designed in such a way that it smoothly enters the leading edge of the blade without any formation of angle. That is only applicable at the design conditions. However, suppose the compressor is not functioning at the design point, then there can be a positive incidence or it can have a negative incidence. So they might form some form of additional angle over here. As you can see, this is the positive incidence, and here you can see the negative incidence. Okay, so for a given bleed speed, this incidence will affect the relative speed and the flow velocity, as well as the flow velocity, and we will see them here one by one. So let's first discuss the case of positive incidence. So here, because of the positive incidence, the dotted velocity shows the velocity which is affected by the positive incidence. So because of positive incidence, the relative velocity value has reduced. At the same time, the flow velocity value has also reduced. So what will happen when the flow velocity reduces? This will directly affect the mass flow rate. So the mass flow rate which is being delivered through this compressor will reduce. And here if you see, in case of negative incidence, then here the flow angle has increased, so the relative velocity has increased, as well as the flow velocity has also increased here. So this is increasing the mass flow rate which is being delivered through this centrifugal compressor. And one more thing that we can see, that because of this variation in the velocity triangle due to the incidence, there is a shock generated here. As you can see in this figure, this shock velocity component is developed here and here also. So this will incur further losses. So this is the shock wave, which is shock velocity component which is being generated, and this losses, shock losses, let me write down over here. Shock losses are proportional to VSH square, that is the shock square of shock velocity component. Now we will see the variation in shock losses with incidence. So this is the vertical dotted line is the line with zero incidence, which is having the minimum loss. And here, as I was discussing about the proportionality with square of shock velocity component, that can be easily visible over here, that as the positive incidence increases, the losses are increasing with square, and the same is applicable over here also for the negative incidence. So that is about the incidence loss. And now let's discuss about the clearance and leakage loss. So there is a minimum clearance between impeller shaft and casing, as well as minimum clearance between outer periphery of impeller eye crossing. These are the constructional restrictions, I would say, that there is necessity of keeping these clearances, otherwise they will rub with each other with very high speed. So this minimum clearance is mandatory while designing the centrifugal compressor. And what happens because of this minimum clearance is that the fluid will enter into this clearance and it will get recirculated inside the compressor. So the same liquid, so the same fluid is being compressed again and again, which is staying in the clearance part. So this is also known as leakage losses. Then we have the inlet losses. So here, what is about inlet losses? That fluid enters axially, and turns radially. So because of this transformation in terms of direction, the fluid suffers some losses. These are known as inlet losses. Now let's go back here. Here all the losses are shown together. The first you can see is the actually this graph is of pressure coefficient with and flow coefficient. So here this is the theoretical line, that as the flow coefficient increases, the pressure coefficient decreases. Then there are frictional losses which are increasing with increase in the flow coefficient. And here you can see the shock losses with this dotted line showing zero incidence and positive and negative incidence sites here. So finally we are getting this is the curve which shows, this curve is showing the final loss considering all these losses. So it can be observed that the total loss is minimum with zero incidence. Now let's move forward to our next topic, that is surging and choking. So first we are going to discuss about surging. So first of all, let us understand this graph, that this graph is about pressure ratio on y-axis and mass flow rate on the x-axis. And here we will begin with point number D to understand this. Okay. So first of all, what is surging? So surging is unsteady periodic and even reversal of flow. When this happens, when the mass flow rate is less than the predetermined value. So let us say that we are operating currently at point number D, and before that, here if we discuss about the extreme sites, point A is extreme with minimum mass flow rate, and point F is another extreme with maximum mass flow rate. Even though this is theoretical one, the actual maximum flow rate point is point number E. So that is the extreme point over here. Let us say that currently we are at point number D, and here we are reducing the mass flow rate through the delivery valve or discharge valve. So suppose we are partially closing this delivery valve or discharge valve, then the mass flow rate will reduce, and with reduction in the mass flow rate, the pressure ratio which is being delivered by the compressor increases. So let us say that it reaches to point number C. Okay, and let us say that we further intend to reduce the mass flow rate by further closing the discharge valve. Then the pressure ratio will keep on increasing and it will reach up to point number B. So at point number B is the sweet spot of functioning of this centrifugal compressor, where we are getting the maximum pressure ratio. A point at the same time, this is the point where the compressor is delivering with highest efficiency. Now if we further attempt to reduce the mass flow rate, then the pressure ratio does not increase, rather it starts decreasing here, as you can see. And if we further keep on reducing the mass flow rate, it will reach point number A, where the mass flow rate is 0 and pressure ratio is here. And here there is a higher pressure at the downstream than the discharge point. So what happens because of this, there can be a reversal of flow. As I have written over here, there can be a reversal of the flow, and once this flow is being reversed, it may return to its normal position towards this curvature from left to right. However, there are chances that this shifting or this reversal may become a periodic one, and which is nothing but the surging phenomena. And this is the surge region. This entire part is surge region. And let us now discuss about the another extreme, that is, let us go back again to point D, and we keep on increasing the mass flow rate. Then we might reach to a point, actually this will only reduce the pressure ratio, and we may reach to a point where we are getting the maximum flow rate, and it is not possible to go beyond this point number E, because the compressor is delivering the maximum pressure, which maximum mass flow which is possible from its side. So this point and beyond this point, we observe a phenomena called as choking. So we cannot go beyond this point number E practically. So that is all about the surging and choking. At the same time, this is also the end of our chapter centrifugal compressor. So in our next lecture we will begin with axial flow compressor. Thank you for watching this video.